Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's edition of Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley and with Corey.
Hello, everyone.
Tonight's surprise edition.
Surprise! We're here.
What should we normally say? We should normally say we broadcast on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley from CIVL, from the unceded territory of the Stolo Nation.
Yes.
And that's the radio show. That's the terrestrial radio show here in BC across the Fraser Valley.
CIVL101.7.com.
No, it's civl.ca, Corey.
CIVL. Actually, what I wanted to say was CIVL 101.7 FM.
Yes. But we also make it into a podcast, and the podcast goes to a bunch of different podcasting platforms. And of course, you can also see the past episodes on drlesleyphillips.com.
Yes, you can. Susan's first one in YouTube. Hi, Susan.
Yes. I apologize to everyone who's live streaming on Facebook because my camera on the top of my computer is in front of me. But oh well, and that brings me to say another thing, which is if you do like the show and you would like to join in with the live audience, you can. And the way to do it is request to join the Awaken Your Psychic Abilities Facebook group, or follow me on my YouTube channel, because every Tuesday from 7 to 8 Pacific time is when we pre-record the show for the next week. So if you don't live locally in the Fraser Valley and you can't tune into 101.7 FM, you can come and catch the show a week ahead of time. Yeah. You can be the early bird.
Yes,
so
you can.
Tonight, we just said it's going to be another fantastic show because we didn't know what we were going to do. But I decided that tonight I'm going to read a channeled message from one of my guides. And maybe I'll have a little series and do a few channeled messages from different guides that I work with. So this one is from Newman. Newman. And it's about intuition, basically. Yes, Corey?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you contact your guides, or do your guides contact you?
Both.
Could you go elaborate more than one word? This is a radio show after all.
Well, if I need their help, I contact them and I ask for their help. And sometimes they show up. And so no more complicated than that, really.
How many guides, how many do you have?
Loads, but
how many active ones do you have?
I have Newman. I have Get Serious. And I have a couple of Pleiadian guides that I do the DNA work with. I have a manifestation guide. Get Serious is my main healing guide. Newman is kind of a channeling guide, a big all overseeing kind of a guide. I've probably left somebody out. Oh yes, I've got these other guides that are, well, let's call them, there's like a male and female one, and they relate to exploring other dimensional realities. So I have like loads of them. And I also connect with different ascended masters and angelic beings. It's like whoever shows up to help, or whoever I feel compelled to call upon to help in a particular situation.
Do they wait in line?
They don't need to, because they're not human. So there's no such thing as lines and waiting or separation or one after another taking their turn, because they are more a part of the oneness. They don't experience themselves as separate as we do, which actually touches upon some of the subject matter in the channeled message that I was going to read. So I think I will do that.
Okay.
So this is the message, and I guess after I've read it, we can have a conversation about what's being talked about. We can answer questions about what's being talked about, and so on. So here it is. For many years, we've been talking about developing intuition. It's a sexy subject. It's attractive, the idea to develop your human superpowers. And these things are possible. Of course they are. However, we want to take a step back and discuss why. What is its purpose? What is the point? What is the use of this idea? And one of the things that we would say about this is that your intuition is a side effect of your vibration being clear and high. If your vibration is not clear and high, if it's low and muggy, then it's not easy for you to access your intuition. But if your vibration is high and clear, then it's much easier for you to access your intuition. Now, if we are to define intuition, it means many different things to different people. There are many different words that are used by you to describe the same or similar or overlapping concepts. To us, from a higher vibrational perspective, we don't have the same categorizations or the same delineations as you have on Earth. And this is just a facet or a side effect of your human intellect and of your space-time reality. You like to categorize things. You'd like to put them into neat little boxes and label them and say, well, this is this, and that is that. And now my intellect understands it. It's a very reduced and limited, yet focused way of being. Intuition is vast. Intuition helps you access the infinite and the multidimensional. And it, in some ways, is the opposite of the intellect, which limits and categorizes things. Intuition opens you up, expands your perspective, and allows you to access information in a very different way, because you're dipping your toe into the infinite waters of creation through your intuition. You are consciousness. You belong to the infinite nature of consciousness. You are holographic, meaning you can access all that is through the one that is you. So you can access the all that is through the one that is you, by shifting your perspective higher and by making your energy clearer. In a simple way, intuition is being able to access the infinite or expand yourself beyond the finite human perspective that you normally have. It is a gateway or a portal or a doorway to the unknown. And the unknown just means what is unknown to you, not what is unknown to all that is. All that is all knowing, but you are limited in your perspective. But through your intuition, you can open to more of the infinite than you can open to through your intellect. So again, let's ask why. Why develop intuition? And what we would say is, in some senses, you already have it. You have it. You don't need to develop it. In some senses, you just need to get out of your own way and clean up your vibrational fields. Raise your vibration now There can be many different methods that you can use to access your intuition, different tools, different techniques, different ways to meditate, and they are providing you the ticket to ride on the journey to your intuition. The techniques themselves are not your intuition. They are simply a way of getting from A to B. And the only reason you need them to get from A to B, why you can't be at B instantly, is because you are in the human form, operating in time-space reality from a limited, finite perspective. So there are many things that seem impossible to you that do not seem impossible to us, because we are talking to you from the infinite and you are perceiving us from the finite. Just going to take a sip. So in a way, developing your intuition is a journey that you are taking to reveal yourself to yourself. You are entering into more of who you are. So when you're in a state of union with all that is, you share in the perspective of the infinite. So when you are in a state of union with the all that is, you are all knowing, all seeing, all hearing, and your awareness is unlimited and isn't aware. Hang on a minute. I'm just going to read that again because I think I've made a typo in here. So when you're in a state of union with all that is, you share in the perspective of the infinite. That means that you're all knowing, all seeing, all hearing, and your awareness is unlimited. I'm going to skip over something because I don't understand it. This is what it says: awareness of all creation. Now, from our perspective, without a body, we can be aware of much of the vast array of existence all at once. From your perspective in the human form, you must choose a focus. You must choose a focus, as that's how you operate, and that is part of the human experience. If you open to the infinite, you would lose yourself and you would be overwhelmed. So you navigate the infinite by choosing a focus, and this is what you're doing when you're using your intuition to answer questions, obtain information, and receive guidance. You exist within the infinite, but you separate yourself from it in order to have your human experience. The human experience is a valid experience. It's the way that the universe evolves, the way that the greater all that is evolves. If you are embedded solely in the isness of everything, where everything exists at once, no change is possible. No shift in perspective is possible when your consciousness is spread throughout all reality simultaneously. So by projecting into the physical reality realm and by pinching off aspects of itself and embedding them in the physical reality realm, then all that is creates the one that is having a finite experience, having a limited perspective, being able to choose one experience from another, being able to create a trajectory of experience where choosing one thing leads in one direction, choosing another thing leads in another direction, and where surprise is possible and excitement for the next choice is also possible. And this is describing you and your human experience. It seems like you're blindfolded and it feels very challenging for you. You struggle to make choices, to know what is the right choice, what is the wrong choice. Am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? When I make a mistake, will I live to regret this? Because it seems to you that you progress in a linear fashion in a singular funnel of experience, but it's just that you're not aware of the entire game board. You can only see so far around your position on the game board. In contrast, we see the entire game board and beyond. because we are in the non-physical. Now, you have various tools to help you navigate the physical. You've got 5 physical senses. You have your intellect, and this gives you the limited human experience. When you raise your vibration, when you clear your energy field, you have access to your intuition, and you can then have the experience of accessing more of the game board. Through using the intuition to help guide you, the intuition with its broader array of information, with its access to information that doesn't have to be developed linearly, doesn't have to appear through time, but is in the form of instant knowledge. Instant knowing is accurate and it's correct for you at the time. And it doesn't need to be analyzed, but most of you do analyze it, and most of you doubt it. And this is the pivot point that you sit on at the moment. You are sitting on a pivot point between the human being of your historical experience, the limited human being, and the new human. The new expanded human, the human that has access to more of the infinite, and the human who is aware of its divinity, meaning aware of itself as an aspect of divine consciousness and an aspect of all that is. Consciousness creating reality. In your case, as human consciousness creating in physical reality, you aren't your body, you aren't your creations, you are the creator of your body and your creations, and you are consciousness. And consciousness is everywhere and everything, and consciousness is a vast sea of being, and you are part of that vast sea of consciousness as a drop of water belongs to the ocean. And this is how you can have access to be all-knowing and all-seeing and all-hearing through the consciousness that you are as a part of the one great consciousness. And there endeth the channeled message.
Lovely.
So I hope that everybody followed that and is allowing it to sink into your consciousness. Being the human drops of consciousness that you are. Separate from the great ocean of consciousness, and yet still a part of it.
Right now, Dr. Lesley, we are going to go to a quick break. And when you come back, you can discuss your channeled message with everyone and go from there.
Okie dokie. Welcome back, everybody, to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley and with Corey.
Hello.
And as you know, Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality. And every week we have a different topic. We've been doing the show for 7 years. And as you can imagine, coming up with new and different topics is, we have to reach into the vast sea of everything and pull new drops out all the time. And so this week, I guess the theme is a little bit about channeling, because I shared a channeled message. And it's a little bit about consciousness and intuition, because that was the content of the channeled message. And maybe it's a little bit about guides, because the message was channeled from one of my guides. And my guide Newman is he's called Newman because it relates to the new man. And so he is a teacher of the new human and helping the evolution of the new human to come into being. And that helps explain some of the subject matter that he was, or they were talking about. So I invite our live audience to ask questions about anything that they listen to in the channeled message. If you want to ask about guides, if you want to ask about channeling, if you want to ask about intuition, you're welcome to.
How was it that you started channeling? What led you to it? How did you get involved with it?
Do you know, I don't even know, to be honest with you, Corey, because I feel like that's just something I've been doing for years and years and years and years. Like, even when if somebody comes to me for a reading and I go into trance, you know, if I'm being Lesley in my human being form, I talk about myself as I this and I that. Once I'm in trance, I'm usually talking as a collective, we. And that collective is me, my higher consciousness, my guides. And so giving a reading is automatically, I think for me, a channeling process. So, but I mean, over the years, as I've evolved, I have worked, and as my vibration has shifted, I've worked with different guides, depending on what my focus is. So, I think, to be honest with you, we all channel. Every single human being has a personality, and that personality is a channeled entity. Who you are as a personality is not who you are on a spirit level, right? The personality is something that you are putting on as you enter into the human experience, the physical experience. So you're a channeled entity, Corey. Everybody listening is, you know, and I think as we evolve into the new human, the lines there's not so much of a line, the lines is blurry, and there's going to be more of a blending of consciousness of the individual with the collective consciousness, with the divine soul and all the different aspects within your soul. Because within your soul, you have many different projections of consciousness, many different stages of evolution. You have many of your guides are contained within your same oversoul. So many of those who you would think you were channeling that you might perceive to be outside of you are not outside you at all. And ultimately, nothing is outside of you and everything is within you, because ultimately we are one. We're just experiencing ourselves, as the channel message was saying, as individuated consciousness.
Pretty cool. So I have a question from Lorraine here. Lorraine says, how does Newman communicate with you? Do you use automatic writing?
No, I speak. I raise my vibration super high, and I feel myself enveloped by his greater consciousness, because he is a vast being, and I speak. And that message I read out to you, I spoke it into, I use a piece of software called Otter AI, so it will write what I am saying. Hence the little bit that I couldn't quite understand, because it obviously didn't quite catch what I was saying. So have I answered the question?
How does Newman communicate with you? Do you use automatic writing?
No, I don't use automatic writing.
Is there a process to use to specifically communicate with one of your guides? Like when you're trying to get in touch with them?
Yes, but it's not something I'm going to talk about on this show, because that's the material that's taught in many of my classes. So, for example, in my clairaudience class, we work with the fifth chakra and attuning to different guides and different beings through the fifth chakra. In my Claire Cognizance class, we do it through the crown chakra. And so part of the process is knowing how to consciously go into trance. That's something I teach in my medical intuition course, and a channeling course that I'm going to be teaching in the summer. And so yes, there is a process, and to get to be able to do that process, you need a little bit of foundational, core, essential foundation stones, which is, you have to ground, you have to know certain energy techniques, you have to have done some work on yourself, because you're not going to instantly go to the vibration that's necessary to channel a high vibration guide if you haven't done any work on yourself. So again, back to the material in the channeled message, it was talking about vibration, and it was talking about the way to access your intuition is by raising your vibration. And so yes, there are techniques we can use to move the vibration up, but also we need to take a look at the density that we're carrying around within us and find ways to release that density, because then our vibration is naturally lightening up. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Like I've noticed, excuse me, I've noticed with other channels, like some of them have physical changes about them as they're channeling their message. Does this happen to you as well, or?
I don't think so.
Oh, so you wouldn't know. Well, you're
No,
recording.
I am not talking in a different voice or having different mannerisms. And because, like I said, I think, when I'm doing a reading, I'm kind of like a blended consciousness, opening to a broader consciousness. But I think to the person receiving the reading, I just seem like myself. I don't appear different. I don't look different. I'm still using the same voice. It doesn't have to be weird. I mean, that part of this evolution to the new human is relating to the fact that, in a few hundred years, this is just going to be normal. There won't be any need for readers, because everyone will be doing this. Everyone will be able to do this. It will be part of normal life. And so you don't have to be weird or appear weird to be channeling. It's just a normal thing.
I'm not saying necessarily that it's weird. It's just that others do something different. Just want to check with you and explain to our audience what you do, how that works, because I think a lot of the channels that have been, over the past 20 years or 25 years have had altered physical features, like their voice, or
there's different levels of channeling.
Yeah.
And so you can be a conscious channel, which I would say is what I am doing. Or you can completely vacate the premises and allow another entity to speak through you. And so that's not what I am doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think as the people on this planet at this point in time, over the past 20 years, as more and more people are becoming involved in the intercommunication with other entities, that when it first started becoming public in that sense, as Bashar was doing and things like that, I think that some of the beings had to make a, I don't want to say show, but it had to make people understand that there was a difference between Bashar and his like the physical being, it's himself.
I think over the trajectory, if you follow the idea of channeling historically, in our most modern recent times, most people would point to Jane Roberts channeling Seth.
Oh, Seth as well, yes.
And then if you look at the video footage of that, it's quite weird to watch. and so, but I think that, and then that's evolved through Esther Hicks and Abraham might be another one that we could point to. Ramtha and Jay-Z Knight might be another, and so on, and Bashar. But I think as time has gone by, our vibration, our planetary vibration has been going up. Our vibration as a species has been going up. The vibrational gap between somebody trying to do that years ago and somebody doing it now is actually quite different. And so the difference in vibration that Jane Roberts's body had to endure to channel Seth, and how perhaps somebody today, it's not such a shock to the system as it might have been in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm speaking to somebody who's like prepared their system to be able to do it as well.
Great, wonderful. And so just for any of you that are new on with us, just so you know that we are running on both Facebook and YouTube, and the questions that are coming in, I put them chronologically, so we'll get to them as we go. So you may not see your question being answered for a little while I'm on Facebook if you're doing it on YouTube, just so everybody's aware. Okay, this is from Tracy. Tracy said, is Newman an aspect of you, or is it a separate guide? Can you explain channeling your higher self versus a guide? Will your higher self sound like you?
So as a metaphor for how I experience the idea for Newman, is that imagine a great butterfly with vast, vast wings. And then imagine yourself as a glint in the eye of the butterfly. That's how it feels to me. So Newman is a vast, I don't know that I want to call him an angel, but angelic type of being, vast. And I feel I am a part of that vast being. And I feel his energy surround me. And then I feel like I am speaking as a mouthpiece for that vast being. So yeah, the picture I have is like the glint in the eye of a big butterfly. So that's part one of the question. And then part two of the question was, what's the difference between?
Part two is, can you explain channeling your higher self versus a guide?
See, this is back. So again, remember the content of what we were talking about. And it was saying, the human wants to categorize and separate things. There's this and there's that. And what they were saying in the channeled message was, they are an ocean of consciousness. There is no separation. We're the ones that think of ourselves as separate, but we're like these little drops that have been taken out of the ocean. So when we talk to our guides, it's like that little finite drop communicating with the ocean. So if the question was, what's the difference between channeling your higher self and a separate guide? Ultimately, there may be no difference. because you're entering into channeling that vast ocean of consciousness. However, there are individuated personalities within that vast ocean of consciousness. They're all related to you, and some of them are more or less related than the others. And so what's the difference? The difference is the frequency essence of the aspect that you're channeling. It's a different frequency, it's a different flavor, you know. I guess if you tasted the ocean water in off the coast of the Mediterranean, maybe it's a bit more salty than on the Black Sea, it's a bit more salty. So it's like different flavors, different aspects, different essences. It's a different vibration. So depending on whether you're channeling one thing or another, as we would see it, is a different vibrational frequency. And it might have a different personality structure associated with it. And you'd recognize it by the vibrational frequency. And if you're channeling yourself, it feels like you, it feels like it belongs, it feels like you're a part of it. And then perhaps the further away from you, then it's more experienced as something more different.
Okay, wonderful. And at that point, Dr. Lesley, we're going to go for a short break.
Okie doke.
And we'll be back in a moment.
Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's edition of Unlocking Your Truth. And our conversation has evolved into a conversation about channeling, because at the beginning of the show, in the first segment, I shared a message, a channeled message from one of my guides. My guide's called Newman, and he was talking about intuition, and he was talking about how we need a high, clear vibration to access our intuition. And he was also talking about their perspective versus our perspective, that our perspective in the human form is finite, and their perspective in the non-human or spirit form is infinite. So talking about the differences between the human experience, likened to a drop in the ocean, and the experience perhaps of guides like Newman is that they're the ocean. We're the drop and they're the ocean. So it's the time in the show where we're taking your questions.
Yes, it is. And we have been for a little while. So this is from Susan. Susan says, music is the biggest way I raise my vibration.
Cool. Yeah, music, singing, dancing, even exercising. What other ways? Watching a comedy show, laughing. They're all ways of raising your vibration. Doing art, doing something you love and something you enjoy. And all of these things, by the way, are a form of channeling. But following those things that you love, doing those things that feel exciting, that you're passionate about, will all automatically raise your vibration. Yeah, being out in nature will help you raise your vibration. Meditation will help you raise your vibration. And healing yourself will help you raise your vibration. So there are, and you know what, amusement, laughter is a brilliant one. Because it can be so instant. An instant vibrational lift.
True. It's actually a really, really good one. Yeah. By the way, folks, if you're enjoying this show, please give us a like, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube. Thumbs up or like, however you want to call it, always helps us. And by the way, just so you know, where is she now? I'll quote her. She says, totally off. This is Tracy. Tracy says, totally off topic, topic, but I like Dr. Lesley's hair.
Well, thank you very much.
That's what I told her. You'd love that.
Yes, thank you. You know, I always used to think I had straight hair until I became middle-aged, and all of a sudden I had curly hair. And I never wore it curly because I didn't know how to style it. But now I've got a hairdresser who seems to do a really good job of letting it be curly. And then everyone thought I got a perm, but I didn't. It's
Same
just
here.
natural.
Same here. I have a good hairdresser now, and I got nice curly hair. Just looks like a headset. This is from Tracy. Tracy says, I want to meet more of my guides. I think I have a block. Can you check that for me, please?
Okie dokie. Well, what's coming up, and I'll probably look at this a little bit more, is just to talk about the vibrational scale, because different guides are accessible to you as you evolve and as your vibration goes up. You can only connect with an experience and communicate with what you are, meaning that if you can't overlap with that vibrational, that vibration, then you won't connect with those guides. So it's natural for you to open up and connect with more guides as you continue to focus on your spiritual work and as your vibration shifts and changes. It's like, think of it like a series of stairways with a series of doors that, and that there are different guides residing in different frequency bands of vibration. So part of it is that there are lots more guides, but you're not necessarily going to meet the ones that you're not able to match. And then there's part two of the answer, though. There's part three of the answer, because you have one maid guide that you work with, and that is an extremely close relationship. And it's a close relationship because, you know, you have a spiritual contract and agreement, and it's you're both passionate about the work that you're doing and the focus of it. And so part of it is your focus is directed at working with this one particular guide. And the other thing is that sometimes that one guide can act as a gateway for communicating with the others. So you don't even necessarily need to be doing it directly, because all you need is that the appropriate information is coming through. It doesn't really matter who it's coming from. What else can we say? I mean, I was seeing something going on around your second chakra area. And it looks like that's just relating to your energy distribution and your creative expression and your desire to shift from one form of work that you're currently doing to another form of work that you would rather do. So there's something coming up around, I guess, time and energy invested. That's not to say you should stop doing what you're doing, but maybe meditate on the idea of that transition and clear what comes up around that. That's what I'm seeing.
Thank you, Dr. Lesley.
You're welcome.
So this is from Misty. Misty says, I was wondering, can you channel in your sleep?
Yeah, I would say you could. I would say you could.
Is that
I mean, what when somebody's talking in their sleep, what are they doing? They're kind of channeling.
Well, I would think I would think on if you're astral traveling, if you're and in your dream state, you're definitely going out there. I mean, when you meet somebody, you can meet your guides in a meditation. So if you can meet your guides in a meditation, I'm sure you can meet them in
Um,
an astral state.
yeah, you can totally. Yeah.
I think it's probably I think more probably more people meet their guides in an astral state than they do in an awakened state and a reality state. They actually realize
Yes.
what they're doing.
I would say everybody meets their guides or has the opportunity to meet their guides that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I think the answer to that is you could. And I mean, for some reason, a silly example, I used to have a friend when I was a kid that we used to do sleepovers, and she always used to talk in her sleep about strange things, like traffic lights and I don't know. That's my only experience of witnessing somebody talking in their sleep.
Doesn't take much for a connection there. Okay, this is from Celia. I feel like I have more than one guide. Then I get confused about which is which. What do you see about this?
Hello, Celia. Nice to see you.
Yes, Celia.
So let's have a look at what do we see about you and your guides. Well, what comes up is you've got this ring around your head of sort of intellectual, human, work-related projects. And so it feels like that's that's the source of the confusion, is the intellectualization about it. And I guess the field of distraction of all the different things that you are engaged in your physical life. And again, it's back to that same thing, isn't it? That does it really matter? Does it really matter? Because it feels like, yes, that there is more than one guide, but it also feels like they work together to make sure that what what needs to come through comes through. And was the question, she feels like she has a block to meeting more than one. She gets overwhelmed and confused.
Yes,
Yeah.
she says, then I get confused about which one is which. She mistakes them.
Yeah. Well, I think I'd just, clear some of that busy mental activity out of the way for a start. And that might help you get a bit clearer. And you could, in meditation, ask each guide one at a time to reveal themselves to you. That's perhaps what I would suggest.
Keep a book. I think they're each of the guys, they're not identical. That they're definitely real differences to them, and maybe visualizing them so that you have it's like when you have five friends, you know what they are by the way they speak and the way they look, what they wear, and things like that. I think guides are the same thing. You can visualize your guide.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, that they will project an image that you can connect with, or a vibration that you can connect with in order to distinguish them.
Yeah, very much so. Okay, And this is from Anderini. And Anderini says, I don't think I've ever met my guides. Is that bad?
It's not bad.
Oh, nothing's bad.
Not no good, no bad, just is,
Yeah.
Every single human has guides. Most of them don't meet their guides consciously. So that's not bad. No, not at all. And, it just depends what your focus is, what you want. If you've never focused, if you've never asked, then why would you? But if it's something that you want to do, then you can learn to do it by focusing your attention and asking for it. So no, it's not bad, Anderini.
I think again, a lot of people come from, I don't think I can connect with a guide. I don't think I have guides. I don't think there's anything there for me. But there are guides for everyone. Everyone can have a guide or many guides. There is almost an infinite number of guides out there for everybody. You'll never be, there'll never be a time or a place where you go, oh, run out of guides. Sorry, can't have one. It's a very interesting thing, and it's not a huge challenge to have one, to understand. It's like friends. You want a friend, ask for a friend. This will be the last question, Dr. Lesley,
Okay.
and it's from Misty again. She says, Dr. Lesley, can you check my fifth chakra? I think it has changed since doing the audience class.
Well, I'll give you a little bit of a healing. Did you leave it open, Misty? Um, yeah, well, I mean, maybe that's a slightly private conversation, but yeah, it looks so. Run some energy through your fifth chakra and clean it out and balance it. You know how to do all of those things. But yeah, something's going on. Okay.
Well, thank you all, folks. That was lovely, and as usual, we'll be here next week. I'm not sure what we'll be doing next week yet. It doesn't come to us till just before the show exactly what we're going to cover. Sometimes we know ahead of times, but not all the time.
And I'll just put it out there again, you can request
Yeah.
show topics. Nobody ever does, but you can.
Yep. I like the idea of meeting your guides. I think that would be fun.
Yes, and obviously I have lots of different courses where people can meet their guides, where we learn how to do that. There is a little workshop, which is Meet Your Spirit Guides. That's an inexpensive thing on my website. But yeah, I mean, I could think about a show that we could talk more about guides, or maybe we'll just do some different channeled messages from some of my guides for a while. We'll see.
That's what I mean. Yeah, some of the different ones.
Yeah.
I'd still love you to do a live one, but anyway, folks, we got to go. Thank you so much for attending, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.